So we often hear statements such as beauty is in the eye of the beholder, beauty is more than skin deep. But who sets these standards? And should my skin really affect my success in life? Does it? Is it important? Welcome to Thriving Heels. Today we're looking at, does beauty drive the success of women? Now we're broadcasting to you live from the ZTN studios in Harare, Zimbabwe. And to talk about this, we want to look at the dynamic of what role beauty really plays in the success of the Zimbabwean woman. Is it important for you to be considered beautiful? Who is it that considers you beautiful? Or should you just be driven and should you just be intellectual? And that is enough for you to make it ahead. Joining me in the studio to have this discussion, I have broadcaster and former Miss Malaika, Brita Masale Tulini. Brita, welcome.
Thank you so much.
I also have joining me gender activist Gumisai Bonzo. Gumi, thank you.
Thank you.
And you're also a naturalist. You are pro-natural. So we're going to have a lot to discuss with you today. And for the first time, a gentleman joining the panel. Thank you so much for joining us. We have Leon Kondoe. Leon, thank you. You are a independent social commentator. What is a social commentator?
An independent social commentator is someone who's not aligned to any organization. So my views and my comments are
not biased.
Your own.
My own.
And I hope your views will be very insightful today. All right. So as we've mentioned, we want to talk about the dynamic between what is considered a beauty and the success of a woman, especially in today's society. Now, I'm going to ask you to start off, just define for me, each of you, what is your definition of beauty? Brita, let's start with you.
I think it's a projection of what's innate within a person and being able to transcribe it into the outward world that you want it to be received as being beautiful. So it's something that is, built inside you and you project it outwardly.
Okay, so for you, you would then be subscribing to beauty is more than skin deep.
Yeah.
All right. Gumi, what's to you beauty? What is that?
Okay, so for me, beauty is I think I would like to look at someone's heart. Mm-hmm. You can have that skin color which is so appealing, but to me I don't look at that. Even when we were growing up and we were looking for a handsome boy to marry you, I wouldn't look at the handsome face. I would look at the heart.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So for you it's the heart.
Yes.
You and Brita seem to be on the same page. Leon, what's beauty?
Pleasure to one's senses.
Pleasure to one's senses.
Yeah.
Explain that.
That's from a male point of view. Because what I consider beautiful and the rest of men around the world, it differs. That's why constantly you can see that each and every woman, either fat, tall, skinny, they're all married.
They're not fat, they're fluffy.
Okay, sorry. Fluffy.
No, I'm joking.
Yeah. So basically what that means is that as men, when we talk of beauty, to a certain extent, it could be a little bit different, pertaining to one's idea and thoughts. To others, it could be the slay queens, the tone of the skin. Then to other men is facial beauty.
Okay, so what I'm generally gathering is for men, generally it starts off with the physical.
Fact.
All right. Okay. So we have physical, we have inner beauty. All right. And this is where our issue lies. So I'm a young woman in Harare and I am looking for a job. Okay. And my boss, or the person who I'm hoping will become my boss, is male. Do I have to be beautiful for you to give me a job?
Yes.
Why?
Okay, frankly speaking, for starters, if you've ever interacted with someone who works in a bank, if it's a she has to be nice, facially, fact.
Why? You're not telling us why.
Yes, because most of the clientele that does the purchasing, either in a household, Yeah, maybe now it's changing a bit, but way back, it was men who did most of the shopping, most of the banking.
Mm-hmm.
So whenever we visit those places to interact, definitely our expectations are to find a beautiful, nice woman.
Kumi, you're smiling and laughing and saying yes. You agree with what he's saying.
Of something.
What were you thinking of? Share with us.
Okay, so I was just thinking of when we go to the airport, we want to get into a plane. I've never seen what you call those women who save you in
air hostess.
Yeah, those air hostess. So I'm just thinking, I've never seen someone who is fluffy, like you said. They are all slim and yeah. So I think it depends with the type of job.
I'll tell you what, though. I recently was on a flight with Emirates, and they had a plus-size stewardess, and it was quite a pleasant sight. But that's not what we're discussing.
I'd like to maybe pose this more of a rhetorical question, which is, what is the definition of what beauty actually is?
See, I was coming there. Who sets that
who
standard?
sets that standard? So, like you've said, that you've been on a flight whereby you're now seeing the more curvy, fuller figure woman who has now broken the narrative that was there previously of a woman who's supposed to fit into a certain standard that they set before. Because now the world has evolved, it's become more inclusive. And so then that changes the way we start to view beauty, because things I would like to believe are shaped by social constructs. And so they continue to evolve. We're in an era whereby things are just coming at us and changing that. And people are now very defiant and saying, no, is that true? We're questioning everything and saying, is that really true? And what has been happening in the past, has it been working for us? And what is currently happening, is it going to work for us? So it's a transition. And I'd like to think that at some point the definition needs to be what makes sense, and in what context are we using that standard of beauty.
And as we talk about these definitions and these standards, Gumi, should my skin tone be used as consideration as to whether I'm beautiful or not?
Yeah, so I think it also depends where you want to be, or the type of job that you want. For me, I'm now a director of an organization. We go for meetings, we go for workshops. You see, other women putting on makeup. I don't do that because I'm comfortable with what I have. Even now, I've come on to the show. I didn't get my makeup to say I should first blush because I'm comfortable.
Right.
So it depends maybe with what you want to do, where you want to go. But for me, if I look at beauty, I don't look at the skin. In Malawi, for example, if you are an albino and you are beautiful, they don't look at that. They just look at the color of your skin. But there is more to it than just the color of your skin.
Right.
So it depends who is looking at you, where you want to go, like what my brother said. Yeah.
Same question to you. Should my skin tone be used as a factor in whether I'm beautiful or not?
Okay. Let me...
Don't beat around the bush, eh?
Okay.
We've seen your answers.
Let me be frank. Even in the early times, when we defined a queen as man, to us, she has to be beautiful, outstanding. Even up until now, in Swaziland, it happens. When the king picks the queen, she has to be appealing. She has to be beautiful.
But should my skin tone be one of the factors? Should the fact that I'm dark or light or pink like me, should it be a consideration?
Yes, it is, because now, even on Instagram, people are toning their skins.
See, we're actually coming to that issue, because that actually is something that's become a big deal now. So once upon a time, you would see Arabs, for example, had lotions that they used, but for them it wasn't a lightening effect. For them it was a brightening. So you are already light, but there's a glow that you see on your skin after you've used these lotions. And then somewhere along the line, it's like that bad rumor that starts and then you can't figure out where it started. Somewhere along the lines, it got to, I'm going to say African nations, and it lost that I just need my skin to glow, and it became I need my skin to become lighter. Where did this come from?
Men.
Men, where did you get this?
Fact, you know.
When you say fact, what do you mean? Because you love it. You love saying facts. But look at this. When we look at, you've given the example of a queen.
Okay.
All right. And you've said that she also needs to be someone who stands out. Now, I stand out because I am lighter than usual. I stand out because I lack melanin. Okay? That's my outstanding factor.
Okay.
But the same thing applies to a woman who is, I will call her melanin loaded. All right? She is dark. She's beautiful. We're talking Alec Wick. All right? She is dark. She's still beautiful. So why are you taking the skin tone into consideration, and why are you as men saying, okay, no, this shade here is beautiful and this one isn't?
Light always attracts to men. That's our thinking as men. Because mostly, that's why you are having all these slay queens. Some of the characteristics of slay queens is the tone.
Define a slay queen for me.
Okay. Most definitely she's fake.
Wow.
Even if we know that, but we're crazy about that.
Wow. She's fake.
Yes.
Again, explain.
Okay. Men are like kids. We love glittery things. Something shiny. Long hair. Beautiful eyebrows. You name it. Now you've got women who are now mutinizing themselves by enhancing their beauty, by using skin lightness. We all know this, but that's what we go for. Because in a standard average woman to us, she's not that attractive. But once she gets a little bit toned up, men do find such women attractive.
I hope you're taking part in this discussion and you are with us on social media. The handles to give us your contributions on Twitter at ZTN News and on Facebook, Zimpapers TV Network. We are going to take a short break so we can slaughter Leon in peace. But we will be back shortly. Do stay tuned. Welcome back to Thriving Heals. Today our discussion is, does beauty drive the success of women? And according to Leon, it does, because men like shiny things. They like fake things. They like... We didn't kill him. He's still alive. But you have had me thinking, you know, the cycle of a woman is very... it's not... she's never stationary. At different stages of a woman's life, she looks different. When I was in high school, I was a size 8. I am now a size 16. Brita, when you were Miss Malaika, you were size...
I was actually a size... I was fluctuating between 16 and 14, which is different from Miss Zimbabwe. And I tell you why.
Why?
The model that Miss World pageant had, I had to fit into that. Miss Malaika, which was an African pageant, released me from that. Come as you are.
Right.
Yeah. So I think when you brought up the issue of melanin, or the color or skin tone of a person being attractive in terms of, you know, getting a job, I then started to go back into those files to say, who am I to decide
Right.
what is beauty?
Right.
You go to West Africa, the color of their skin is probably on the darker shade, blue, black. The girl who was hot on my heels, she was from Senegal, blue, black. But with an elegance that I could not match.
Right.
We had girls, obviously from Nigeria, skin-lightened girls, who were not able to meet that standard. Because when she then spoke, you're saying, hang on, there's something total about this person when they're speaking. The Ghanaian lady who was our first princess, same thing, she was very dark-skinned. But she exuded a certain kind of beauty. And she gets the jobs because of what she's able to project. So there is a conflict with understanding what is, I think, the text we're trying to talk about, which is driving the success of women. What are we trying to achieve? Success. And yes, we have the male perspective, but the dynamics of what the agenda is to get successful, that's where we want to break it down.
Right.
Does it actually work?
Exactly.
What are those fundamental things? Because now you're talking about the slave queen. We've defined it, and Siri will have a different. She's got a way she breaks down the slave queen. We'd love to hear her thing, but it's actually a derogatory statement about women. So the question is she wanting to attain success? And then what is the support of men in that factor?
And also, apart from that, are we sort of acknowledging that men still hold the keys to these doors we want to open, and therefore we feel we have to please them in order for us to walk through those doors to what we deem success? I mean, when we look at it from that perspective, we have several women who are in very amazing positions, and they've gotten there through their intellect, their wit, their academic achievements, and their integrity. Their beauty, as you've said, when she opens her mouth and speaks, it's about what she's saying. That's what you're paying attention to. So are we saying our narrative is still behind, Leon, where we are waiting for you men to open the doors for us?
Not really, because this is now the 21st century. Definitely dynamics have changed from way back. We as men also acknowledge that. But at the end of the day, this is a men-dominated world for now.
For now. Gumi, he says, okay, it's a male-dominated world. But we have women taking on more of these roles, especially even the male-orientated roles. And so should our looks, in fact, not should our looks, do our looks still hold that much importance? When I walk through a door, should I be worried about, so generally I look like a potato on a day-to-day basis. By potato, I mean I'm plain-faced, Gumi, exactly as you are. That's how I'm going to walk around. Should I now be taking a step back and saying, okay, no, maybe my best face, my original face is not my best face for me to be going to this particular meeting?
You know what, Candice, what I'm thinking right now, if you look at the situation that we are in now, if we try to fit in to what men really want us to be like, I don't think there will be any marriages left. I don't think there will be any women who are holding positions in companies, because, like you say, men are children. And if surely if I want to succeed and I listen to a child, then I will not go anywhere. So all I'm saying is, if you look at what is happening now, it's because we are looking at the wrong things. And we are defining women with the wrong things. I don't know if I'm clear. I'm a director of an organization, but I only went as far as O level.
Right.
And like what Britta was saying, when I was growing up, I didn't have this Jojo tank. But it's there now. Can it define who I am?
No, it shouldn't.
I have this permanent pregnancy, but can it limit me to do what I want as a woman? No.
Now, Britta, we've talked about Miss Malaika, because that's the pageant that you took part in, but we also had Face of Africa. And I don't know where that disappeared to, but that was also an amazing platform for African women of all shades.
And color.
But the problem with that pageant as well was the problem we have with a lot of pageants, where you look at the girls and they are unrealistically tiny. I say unrealistically because while they are built that way naturally, I'm not. And I'm going to try, and that I'm looking at that, that's my standard, and that's what I want to look like. As a result, I am going under the knife because I want a tummy tuck. I am going under the knife because I want lipo. Are we putting pressure on ourselves as women to conform to standards that are not realistic? Yeah?
I'm going to use them as terms of references based on having been in that space. There was an age, the so-called age of the supermodel. Right now we have the age of the social influencers who are on your Instagram pages.
Right.
You don't get to see them in their real state. They are doctored, panel beaten, adjusted, filtered. You know, they say filters are the best inventions right now. But back then, we also need to understand what's driving this. There's a capitalist element in it, in that there is a business that is behind it. It's a multi-billion-dollar industry. So they will try to do whatever they can to make sure that they exploit the situation. So what do? You create an image or an ideology of something that is non-existent and hope women will attain that.
Right.
By using the platforms that were there, which is media. Right? And so Hollywood, we've seen how it seriously influences the way that we see things and do things. So the question is, who is behind it? Who is running the show? Who's defining what should be put out there? And what are we taking into our subconscious mind into thinking that that's what is correct? At the end of the day, it doesn't work. I went to Miss World pageant. I left Zimbabwe with the thought that, you know, we're all supposed to be tall, slim, and slender.
Right.
I had a nice rude awakening within a day. When I started seeing the young women filtering in from the different countries, we had people, I'll give an example of Miss St. Martin's, for instance. A very beautiful dark melanin skin, a round nose, thick lips. Miss Dominican Republic, who was of fairer skin, Caucasian, but she also had these curves, which I was told were not allowed. They don't fit into the mold of the Miss World. But that's what that nation sent. Miss maybe Korea was quite a tiny pint-sized young lady from the Asian nation. And then so for me, just deconstructed everything, and I threw that rule book up the window because I said, this is a lie. When I go back home, what am I going to do? What I should be teaching young ladies is to be people who are trying to attain a level of success in their giftings and not in the way that they necessarily look. However, there's a conflict between what we conceive as being a beautiful person and projecting a positive image, because what we're supposed to be doing is projecting a positive image. Because I think we come back to the corporate world, for instance. They have a standard. It doesn't change. Your presentation matters. They don't necessarily look at how big your features are, but they're saying, Kuti, are you fitting into the mold of what we want?
Are you fitting into what we describe
what
as
we
clean?
describe as clean,
as
and
formal,
as formal,
as
and
business.
are you looking like you are not a distraction? Because we don't want distractions in our workplace. What it comes down to the wire. What's on the bottom line? Have we attained that? Are you in our way? We get rid of you, because that's how cutthroat the world is. But presentation is a big deal.
Right.
And sometimes slaying is a distraction. And if we go into the rule book of grooming and deportment, it will tell you straight away, don't be a distraction, right? We want to make money. And some of those things do not work. They will work to maybe get you through the door, but they will not guarantee you the business.
Okay, so that's one element that you've actually brought up that's quite interesting, that it may get you through the door, but it's not going to keep you in the door. It may actually be the thing that then gets you thrown out. So my question then becomes, when we're looking at all these elements, how are we, as women, I'm going to ask the two of you, and then I'll come to you in a bit. I'll come to you in a bit. But how are we kind of, so Britta, you mentioned that you then had an awakening, you had a deconstruction of the mind where you realized that no, actually there's different facets to everything, and you can't, it's not a one size fits all, mold. How do we pass this message on to the younger ladies that now suddenly have the influence of your Instagram influencers, for example, and they're looking at these young girls similar to them in age, making lots of money by looking a certain way. And how are we telling them that no, listen, not everybody looks like this, and it's normal not to look like this? Let me start with Gumi, and then I come to you.
You know, I'm just thinking, my granddaughter, she's always sending me these pictures with I don't know, this thing.
The baby hairs.
And I'm like, what's happening? I'm looking like this today. But it's not you. I'm not even happy to see you like this. I want to see the real Mzukuru wangu. But I think social media is playing a very big role. And it all comes back to us as mothers. To say, as much as this is there on Instagram and whatever other social media platforms, but you have to be satisfied with what you have, and we have to teach them, to catch them while they are still young. Like, you know, these days, every child has got a phone.
Right.
And there's no way I'm going to buy my Mzukuru Kambudzi because they are supposed to do online thing, and I have to pay for Wi-Fi. And after school, they go on, you know, like YouTube, Instagram, and all that, and they see all that. But I also believe as mothers, we have to play a very important role to say, as much as you are seeing this is not the real thing, you know, like you are saying, it's for TV, it's for, you know, just posting. I still remember someone was saying, you have so many followers on Instagram, are they going to come when you die? You know, because they are not real. So sometimes we put more effort, we put more time on something which is not real, which doesn't define the beauty of what you are really. Yeah.
And for me, I think not everything is as it seems, because this again is a perception-based thing. Instagram and the way they've designed social media is to draw traffic and attention to certain things. Right. And they've figured out the algorithms of how that actually works, because there's an entire psychology behind it. And so Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, you name it. In fact, Twitter, not per se, that I don't understand that one fully, but Instagram, Facebook, Snapchats, and now the so-called TikTok generation that we are now having to deal with. There is a design behind it, so not everything is as it seems. Are they really making the money? Who is falling into that 3% of the most successful people in the world? Do you see them? Back then, like you're saying, you have an awakening. You get to hear about the richest families.
Right.
Who are they? They're probably a German family. You never see their faces, but they're driving things in the back. So my question then becomes, okay, what am I teaching my child? Of course, you want to enjoy the creature comforts of this world. You want to enjoy the luxuries and to splurge and to enjoy certain things. But are you going to achieve that by putting on a facade of something that doesn't exist? Or maybe it might exist to a certain degree, but it's attracting a certain market of people.
It exists, but not in your world,
Not
so
in
to
my
speak.
world.
Yeah.
Richard Branson, for instance, when he had that reality show of his, he says, okay, fine, you can manipulate this, make it work for you, for instance. You do the craziest thing in the world to drive the crowd into one space, but are you able to convert it into cash? Is that what it is that you're trying to attain? Or you're just liking the idea, somebody's giving you a thumbs up and liking you? Do you have that forward thinking to see beyond what is here? And I always speak to young ladies who I mentor. Girls, you're not going to be 21 forever.
Right.
You're going to turn 25, 30. Things start going south and west and east. You're not going to look the same, okay? But you choose now how you want to be able to transition into those different phases of your life. And you'll find that a lot of them will be so frustrated because they didn't take advantage of the opportunities that were availed to them in a positive sense.
Right.
10 years, for instance, is what I understand to be a minimum of what a successful business would then need to be recognized as a successful business. So in those 10 years that are your prime, are you making it work for you? And what are the things that are contributing to that? Is it your looks? Or is it that you're bringing your noodles to the table so that they can be eaten properly? Because let's be honest, we can walk through the doors, but the discussion that is being had between you and the person interviewing you can change in a heartbeat. We've been through that. Someone will say, "Ay, Waga, put the folder aside." so what are you doing after lunch?
Yeah.
What are you doing tonight? So you have a choice in that moment to say, am I going to take this? Because I can see where it's going. And you know in your, in your heart of
you can
hearts,
see.
is this what I want? Already he's turned the table and said, I'm not seeing you in the light of your merit, but in what I'm seeing you because you've portrayed a particular perception about yourself, and I'm going to take you in that light. Like, say, we're going back to the rule book of grooming and deportment, for instance. They'll tell you straight away, dress a particular way, present yourself a particular way. That's how they'll receive you, and it'll actually help to put the buffers or to mitigate anything that is coming in your direction, which would then have an ulterior motive. So you need to be careful. Think about those things. And are you opening your mind towards what is attaining success in that space?
Now, when we started off, we did ask the question, who sets the standard? And Gumi very quickly said, men. So now I'm going to ask you, because you are now a generation of fathers, some of you fathers to daughters. How, as men, are you, yes, we get it, your children, okay, but you still have responsibility. You still have a responsibility to raise your daughter in a way that when you're gone, she can take care of herself. So how can the men get involved in changing this narrative that the slay queen is the way to go? And yes, you can be pretty, but really we are listening to what you're saying. How do you become involved in that particular narrative setting agenda?
Okay, like what I said before, it's a man's world. How men are wired and how you women are wired. I'll give you one idiom that says good. Women are like cabbages. Once fresh, cabbage. Once fresh and they rot. Men are like glass. We break, but we don't rot. Ultimately, what it means is that during your prime, do your best, like what Britta said. It gets you in. But once you're in, you have to reinvent your mind as a woman. That I'm in. The only way that I can stay here is through academics. And we've seen a lot of women who gets the job through beauty first. They reinvent themselves. So ultimately what we're saying is that if you are a pretty face, definitely the advantages are endless. That's all I can say from a male perspective. That yes, beauty plays a big part.
But you haven't answered my question.
My daughter.
How do you start to change that narrative? How do you as men start to change that? Because you are, like we said, we established in the beginning, some way, somehow, men became the ones to say this is our standard of beauty.
Yes.
Which therefore means that some way, somehow, you also have an active role to play in shifting how our daughters see themselves and where they go forward in realizing that, no, I don't necessarily have to be considered beautiful for me to be successful in life. How do you come in? How do we say this is the role that the men are now starting? This is what they're actively doing to start changing that narrative.
I believe that now that we've got social media, we have to share our views as men. That this is what our forefathers used to define beauty as. But I would like to believe that with where we are now, beauty is no longer facially. So now with equality, I believe that the only way out of this situation is all about equality. One should get the job according to merit, as you guys had rightfully said, not because of the way they look.
All right. We'll take another short break. When we come back, we do come to a conclusion of how do we move forward? How do we break this narrative, break this cycle of looking at a woman and assuming this is where she should be in life as opposed to actually listening to what she has to say? Do stay tuned. Welcome back. We are looking at, does beauty drive the success of women in Zimbabwe? Now, of course, the discussion has been interesting, and I hope that you have been taking part. The social media platforms to use at ZTN News if you are on Twitter, and Zimpapers TV Network if you are on Facebook. Now, let's look at the element of cosmetic adjustments, because that is something that's big now, but it has changed slightly. Before we had women going under the knife to look slimmer, to get tinier. Now we have them going under the knife to look curvier. So we want that itty bitty waist and the big behind and the hips and the boobs and the... You are to blame. But we've had, when we look at international artists, international celebrities, we've had several of them come out and say, this is not entirely safe. One very quick reference that I can think of is K. Michelle. K. Michelle recently, so she had bum implants and boob implants, and I think one of the bum implants then deflated, and can we even... Guys, we go through a lot as women.
Yeah.
In the back of our minds as women, do we not love ourselves, or do we just want to look like somebody? What is it, Rita, what is it that is informing these decisions?
It's an insecurity. Okay, I think, again, like we're saying, that social constructs come in to make us think that this is the way to go, and yet that's not necessarily it. We are misinformed from the onset. So we end up picking up and adopting things that are destructive to us, and even at the demise of our health. And again, trends. We're following trends. There was a trend maybe 5-10 years ago, and this is the current trend that is there. The question is, in that moment, are you going to be able to reverse these things 5 to 10 years later? Like I said, we are not going to be 21, 23, 25 forever. And we cannot freeze time in terms of our looks. What we can do is transition and grow naturally into those bodies that we want to actually have. And so, to a great degree, I'd like to think it's a mental state whereby someone needs to get help, right? I'm not saying that they're sick, but they might need to get help to understand, why are you doing this for yourself? Because at the end of it all, are you attaining those goals? And if you find that celebrities themselves are saying, look, what I did was a big mistake. They're sick
and
now.
they have the pockets to reverse
They've
it.
got the pockets, and even then sometimes it's too late to reverse it. The toxins are in the body, and there's nothing they can do to deconstruct that. But now the question is it worth it? And what exactly are you trying to achieve from this? Are you handing over your power to somebody else? And which is normally the case. He's just rightfully said it. Guys love to toy with these toys, all right? But guys get tired of toys. They will switch to the next toy. And then in that, you're feeling like, you're left out. You've been chucked into the bin. And so what is it about you that you appreciate about yourself such that it will not drive you to that place? We're looking at an age of women which everything has just become somewhat liberal, and you now have choices that you need to make. The woman in her 50s is different from the woman in back then, maybe 20, 30 years ago. She's able to redefine her beauty. Up into 60s, 70s, I look at the oldest female bodybuilder, for instance, when she turned 75, and she won this competition, and she's hitting the gym, and she's now got a six-pack, and she's saying success in dollars, trying to achieve success in being fished out of the pond by the guys. To attain that level of success you want to achieve.
You see now, dye in makeup, we have our reasons, but you'll then find someone will come up and say it's because you don't love yourself.
Self-love, I'd like to believe, is projected in the way that I feel about me before everybody else. We also, you see, receiving it based on your own perceptions of what you think from wherever you've come from, right? Someone will receive me a different way, going to care. I need to get the work done.
Right.
But in this space, I'm in an entertainment space where it's just fun, all right? But it doesn't change
who I
am, and I'm projecting that. I only choose for someone else to influence me. by virtue of saying, no,
You, in your organization, you see the young girls, they're coming in, they're dolled up like Candace and Brita. And what are your thoughts when you see these girls?
No, to me, as long as you are doing it for yourself and not doing it for other people, because there is no way you are ever going to please anyone. I'm just thinking about this young girl, you know, who was in this movie, Sarafina.
Right.
Yeah. So I just saw her picture now of her skin. The skin has changed. And people were commenting, she's ugly, what? But they didn't know where it was coming from. So to me, I was like, so were these people looking at the brown skin, and now that the skin has changed, she's no longer beautiful? And I actually sent a message, was it on Facebook, to say, you guys, I don't understand. Are you saying this child is no longer beautiful because of the skin? Because for me, I always remember what she did, the moves, the dances, and it makes me happy. To me, that's the beauty I'm looking at. You know, of course, it's not bad to have makeup. I also have my children do makeup. Sometimes they even say, but mama, chimboenda muno tintwa msoro. And I'm like, I'm comfortable with my
hair,
with my silver hair. And I like, it was chaita. But the moment you tell me to do something, I will not do it just to please you. I will do it when I feel like I really want to
do it.
Yeah. So I'm not saying makeup is bad. It's good because you have to look presentable. I also used to do makeup when I was growing up, but to me now it's something else. It's good to have makeup. It's good to present yourself. Even when young ladies, those interns, come to look for a place to do their internship, I look at them to say, if I put you at the reception and you are like this, a customer is going to come in. How are people who are coming into the office going to look at you to say, my bonzo mskano makaisa pa reception kutomboita, you know? Right. So of course I understand you have to put someone who is presentable, but not to such an extent.
Is presentable just makeup? Because I can be plain faced but still look
like what she said, or like what he said. You know, Van Vese, they've got their own thinking. Of course, to me, it will not be a big deal anyway.
Right.
As long as you are putting on your best smile, you are welcoming visitors, and they're like, Mskana at reception is so welcoming. To me, it doesn't matter. You learn as you go.
Right.
But not kuva like you have to be.
Okay. Do you think we put on makeup for you?
Yes, you do.
I don't. Why do you think we do?
Ultimately, at the end of the day, we as men, we make money to attract the opposite sex. Women, on the other hand, they have to look nice, pretty. Everything that women do ultimately is to please men at the end of the day.
And the ladies in the studio are saying, no, this is not what we're doing.
No, it's fine, you know, it's subject to debate. But ultimately, the inner you, guys, let's be honest, when you look yourself up in the mirror, what's the projection that you want?
I like my face as it is.
Okay, that's okay, but I'll tell you that 60% of women, when they dress up, when they wear the makeup, they want to attract the opposite sex. Not that I'm being judgmental, but all I'm saying is that just like men, why do men succeed? They need to attract the opposite sex. Without money, nobody notices a man.
Oh, we do now.
No, an ugly man with no money.
It's just an ugly man.
Thank you. But an ugly man with money
attracts beautiful women.
I think
Thank
I
you.
hate some guy, you know.
So I would like to believe that at the end of the day, you know, like what you ladies have said, the inner use, it's exactly what you want. Your ethos, whether you're Christian or not, but what we're saying is that at the end of the day, what do you want? And this is a new era. You can reinvent yourself in different ways. Don't be a sex symbol like what most of women are turning out to be, this Instagram, Facebook, it's affecting women in a big way compared to men. We don't really need makeup as men.
Yeah. Well, money kind of is your makeup. I mean, technically.
Yeah.
You remember Lucky Dube's song? It's not easy. What? Behind those, behind that beauty lies the true colors. I'm just thinking about that. If you marry someone because of the makeup and all that, and then you put them in the house, and then the true colors comes out, you're in trouble. 5
to 10 years, I'll be looking for another door.
All right. So, as we come to the conclusion of this program, how, because the onus really is upon us, to including you as a male of this generation, to kind of change that narrative, to shift it. Look, yes, for those who want to do it, that's for them. As you've rightly said, just make sure the decision, and you as well, just make sure the decision is for you. But there is that young lady out there who thinks in order for me to be successful, I have to be light-skinned, I have to have, we like to call them the flaps. Here it's a running joke. We call them, like, if you blink, you are going to fly away. I have to have the 20-inch weave all the way to my bum. That young lady is also probably very intelligent. How do we start to show her that, no, actually, you don't need all that? You just need to know how to harness the power your mind possesses so that you then become successful in life. How do we start to change that?
There are these stereotypes. We have to get those jackets off,
How?
As human beings, God created us in unique ways. You, myself, and everyone else. We all have got these inner selves in ourselves that defines you. So basically, my best advice to women, whether beautiful or, I can't say it
I like how you started
on air, but what I'm literally saying is that all of us in our own ways, let's learn to be comfortable in our own skin, because we cannot be the same. And there's no replica of yourself. Even if you've got the same genetics, we've got brothers and sisters, we don't look the same. So never feel the inferiority complex. Never. That's the only way to alleviate all this, is that all of us, we are created differently. We've got different skin shades. Even in one family, we've seen it. Others are lighter, others are darker. So let's be comfortable in our own skins.
So I'm going to ask you a question. It's going to throw you off, but I'm going to ask you anyway.
Okay.
Do you believe there's a woman who is not beautiful?
As I said. As I said.
It's a simple yes or no.
Can't define it. Can't define it.
All right, I'm going to let you off the hook. It's fine.
Okay.
Gumi, same question to you. How do we teach our young girls that, look, no, actually, you know what, your beauty will last, here and there. You may even age well, but your mind undoubtedly will be the thing to carry you to places.
I was talking to this group of young ladies who were born with HIV. So some of them, they put like those long inches, what, and I was giving them an example to say, there's this other girl used to put on that in the makeup thing, and then the boyfriend said, I'm in your neighborhood. I just passed through your house, and then I saw your father. And then she was like, no, my father is not here. I'm the only one who is at the house. Because the boyfriend was used to see this girl in those... in
her weaves.
Exactly. So it's just, you try to teach them that as much as you want to look nice, but sometimes don't stress yourself. You will always find someone who is comfortable with the beauty that you have. Not, even when you are married, you get married and then your husband sometimes would run away from you when he comes from the bar and see you without that weave and that makeup. You know, when women are sleeping, we used to put this.
Pulling socks.
He would run away because he's not used to see you like that. Because you are, to me, it's like you are living a fake life. So we try as much as possible to say, as much as you are doing this, sometimes just be yourself. Just be yourself. You will not be stressed. You know, comes Friday, you want to go, okay, if it was not COVID, you know, those clubs and all that, you don't have money. You know, a lot of things come into play. You want to please the guys that you are going to meet at the club. You don't have money. You end up going out of your way, stealing so that you go and buy those weaves, lying to your mother so that she will give you money to go and buy. You know, you end up doing things which you are not supposed to do just because you want to please John. And at the same time, John is not even looking at your hair. Maybe he's interested in your bums. I only get to know that young ladies now, they are buying those corsets with extra stuff.
Yes.
And I'm like, today, I saw you in this jean, you were like, but today, what's happening? You know, so you go to extremes. You stress yourself, like just trying to please yourself, other people. My advice to my children out there, I've got so many children out there, just be yourself. You get someone who love you for your skin. You get someone who love you for your slim body. You get someone who love you for your Jojo tank. You know, just be yourself.
Britta?
For me, I'm just going to end with trust yourself, trust your mind, and trust your own mental capacity to be able to become successful. And you define what you want to be at the end of the day. Don't let anyone else toy around with it. So just know that you have what it takes to become one of those who's recognized for what they bring to the table versus what they perceive to bring to the table. So to the young ladies, read, please get an education, right?
Absolutely. Thank you so much for joining me, Britta, Gumi, and Leon. Now, as we round up this discussion today, just a reminder, you're free to make your decisions, but make informed decisions. Make sure they're in your best interest, that they serve the purpose that you need them to serve, and that they're not for anybody else. If you decide that you want to go under the knife, let it be for you. This is a decision you have to live with for the rest of your life. But you're beautiful as you are. Dark, light, pink like me, yellow like somebody else, you're beautiful either way. Just learn to accept who you are, and you'll be okay. It's never an easy journey, but at the end of it, this is the life we are given. We only have one. We can only make the best of it. My name is Candace Mwakaliele. Thank you for joining us on Thriving Heels. Be kind to each other, but be kinder still to yourselves. We'll see you next time.